Welcome to the Stories Are Soul Food podcast, presented by Cannonball Books, the kids' fiction imprint of Cannon Press.
Met a ghost of a king on the road when I first fell. Fire burning to my knees I fell. Met a ghost of a king on the road.
Well, here we are together for Stories Are Soul Food.
Welcome to Smooth Jazz.
What's your smooth jazz name?
Whatever it is. I'm feeling trapped already.
I made him very sad.
And trapped.
And trapped by bringing a laptop in. And
I'm hurt.
And
I'm
I have
wounded.
episode 1 of Rings of Power ready to go. And we're going to see how much we can take. I haven't seen any of it yet, so.
Yeah, I was in LA not long ago. And a buddy of mine, a good friend, was off to the Venice Film Festival, and he hit me on my way down. He was like, "Hey, want to hit the premiere of Rings of Power? Here's the invitation." And I was actually tempted. I was like, "There's like material for the podcast. I could go to the theater 45 minutes early and present all my vaccine documentation and do all the stuff to get in and sit there and watch something that's going to be streaming on Prime for free." And then, of course, there's all the hullabaloos around them pulling down reviews and how many people watched it as it started, and was this bad, was this good, whatever. I didn't care, but I didn't. I passed on. I flaked. I was tempted briefly to do something for this podcast.
Well, you did. I think
and
you
then
moved
I didn't.
the premiere here.
I didn't
This
do
is
it.
the
I refused.
premiere.
I decided. I was like, you know what? No. And then I had lunch with a buddy and at a studio, and he told me he was going to have to watch it in order to have an informed opinion. In his position, he could not just have a prejudicial opinion like I did. Then he kind of rebuked me a little bit, scolded me, and said he had to have an informed opinion. And so at that point, I was like, maybe I need to repent
Of your uninformed opinions.
of my hubris and prejudice, and just watch this to have an informed opinion. And then I thought, no.
And then
I thought, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see if this gains any kind of traction such that I need to have an informed opinion. I don't want to have an informed opinion if I don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my last decision. Then here I come into the studio
ambushed
to have a completely therapeutic and relaxing SASF experience. And I find Brian armed with a laptop, ready to force me to watch a little bit of Rings of Power. And I just don't know how I feel about this. Or I should say, I do know how I feel about it. But it's...
Well, I like too that at first I felt bad we weren't watching on a screen. And then I thought, it's Amazon Prime.
We're watching on a screen. I will say this. This might be the first time Amazon has ever made a show that caused people to subscribe to Prime who had not previously. And that's been...
That's their goal, right?
Yeah, I'm a little bit out of date with Amazon Studios. I had a project there for a little while, and it died, as projects tend to. And when all the executives fled and went somewhere else, as the revolving door. But we had enough conversations there that talking about what they're trying to figure out is they couldn't figure out their mandate. They could not figure out what they were trying to do. Are we just trying to win gold statues for Jeff?
Mm-hmm.
Are we trying? Is this all vanity, legacy? He's struggling with mortality and he wants statues.
Yeah.
Is this prizes for Jeffrey? What is it? And are they the ones who are more commercially minded knew that to have Prime TV, Prime Video make any sense at all, they need it to be content that causes people to subscribe to Prime who would not otherwise have subscribed to Prime. And they could not get there. And
Wheel of Time didn't do it for them?
well, that was actually already after I was no longer working there. But
okay.
I think about that. Think about how effective Prime was based on free shipping.
Mm-hmm.
Just free shipping. And so they have massive numbers of Prime subscribers. And then they say, hey, we're going to give you TV shows also. And Prime subscribers say, okay.
Like, all right.
But I have free shipping still, right? And they're like, yes. And they're like, fine. You can give me free TV also if you really want to.
They're like, how about music? How about photo storage?
Yeah.
You know, just nonstop things.
Yeah. And it's like, but as long as you still give me free shipping, I'll still have this. As long as I can still get my dish soap and my dog food delivered to my door free.
Yeah.
Then I'm fine.
Doesn't even have to be 2 days anymore. Idaho, we don't get the 2 day.
Yeah. But so the number, I think it was 25 million watched this show.
Although it was a little precise about what they said. 25 million sampled episode 1.
Began. Yeah.
25 million and 1.
25. Yeah.
About to be.
So 25 million people began this show. It was much ballyhooed and anticipated. Most expensive of all time, I believe. And I think, right? So
I think so, yeah.
what would have been more expensive than this? Barney, The Simpsons. Anyway.
I'm sure.
But it's, yeah. So I think this might have been the first time people actually signed up for Prime in order to watch something.
Which is funny because that's what, $130. That's an expensive streaming service, right? Not too bad though.
Yeah, but are they doing like the free month? Is there like a trial? Are they going to do the quick trial and churn? I don't know. Yeah. So what's our goal here, Brian? How many minutes do I actually have to watch this?
I mean, you have to watch enough to get a good podcast out of
this. Can't we find a good podcast some other way?
Oh, yes, we can. But today, this is the way. The path.
And this is how SASF died.
Nate's literally like,
episode 80, what? And it turns it was a good run.
Yeah.
It was a good run. Okay, fine. I
honestly don't think we have to watch much. I'm just curious. I honestly, I'm hoping. Let's move to flattery. I'm hoping to get your. We're at levels of. I can't even remember what that episode was. The one episode that got the most groans out of Nate. Yeah, I'm more interested in kind of what they're trying to do and how they messed up the beginning, right? Because I think people...
You want to know how they messed up the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess a bigger question first is, could this succeed in your mind? I mean, this is how we find out if you're prejudicial or not.
Yeah, of course it could succeed.
How? I think you're lying.
It could cause lots of people to subscribe to Prime.
Ah, okay.
That would be success.
For you as a Tolkien adapter, could this be adapted?
Yeah, of course.
How so?
Could you make like Tolkien backstories and have them be fun and good? Is that the question? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So that's our standard, right? Tolkien backstory.
No, just anything worth watching and good is the standard, right?
Right.
So, and I don't even care if it's modified.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a purist in that way. I don't mind them making up characters.
Here's the thing. Every person who sets out to adapt a work should be trying to honor that work and be true to that work. Like try to find the thing that was great about it, the thing that was good about it. And then you should absolutely be trying to surpass it. If you're not trying to surpass it, then what are you doing? So, coffee gurgly, hopefully in the microphone, but, so what, like, why just give up? You might know that you're doomed to fail because you're making a movie based off a fantastic novel, or you're adapting a piece of great fiction, into a series. You might know there's, it's a real steep climb, but you should be trying to make a really great, really great thing.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it happens. I think Children of Men is an example where it's like, the film is better than the book.
I haven't even read the book.
And it's, the book's great in its own way, but it has a lot of flaws. And the film comes along and finds the core concept and exploits the core concept in a way that's extremely potent and effective. And so can you find even really beloved material and then execute it in a different medium in a way that serves that beloved material better than, than the prose version? And of course you can.
Yeah. I mean, they're working from his appendices. Those aren't even a completed novel.
Correct. So it should be really easy.
Yeah.
It should have been an easy job.
Hear that, Bezos?
Piece of cake. Piece of cake. Could have done it with 50 grand. Okay, fine, Brian. Here we are.
Series premiere. Episode 1, A Shadow of the Past. For those of you watching along, you'll have to...
Okay, ready? Neutrality. Neutrality assumed.
He's doing his best.
There is no neutrality. Never mind.
Yeah, not prejudicial. Do I need subtitles on this?
No.
I think this script's going to be really good.
So excited. Who knew we were transitioning to Mystery Science Theater?
And there was a time when the world was so young, there had not yet been a sunrise. But even then, there was light.
And origami. So far, it's just a little Mormon.
Very clean. So is this supposed to be like, I think it's day 1, all right?
I'm struggling with the origami on day 1.
That's at least a day 3 invention.
Like, there's not been a sunrise, but we have paper. Somebody's already milled lumber.
Pulped it down.
Pulped it. Took it to Lewiston.
Dried it out and shipped it to this elf child.
And the introduction of evil is throwing rocks at origami.
An origami boat. Or is this the evil? That she retaliates? Oh no, that was Galadriel fighting. Oh, that was a good ship, sister. Oh my gosh.
I'm a little confused at this point.
Well, what is happening?
I made it 3 minutes.
We might have to stop soon. This is so utterly... This is theme stated, right? Are we trying to state a theme?
Sort of.
Oh my god.
The writer's like, I'll figure that out later.
It's like, didn't even say
whisper the deep secret in her ear. Save it for episode 8.
That guy reminds me too much of Mr. Andrews from Matrix. That elf.
I was thinking more of like what, Fritz in Sound of Music?
The young Nazi youth.
We thought our joys would be
So is it permanent magic light? It was the sun's a little higher.
It's the tree. The rolling R.
Oh, good.
And a legion of elves went to war.
Oh, see, because it's real boats. And
I'm super over it. I mean, like,
it's really bad.
And journeyed to a distant realm, one filled with untold perils and strange creatures beyond count. Place known as Middle Earth.
Cut to Game of Thrones. Can you make it stop?
Okay, that was 5 minutes.
I thought 5 might be.
5's fair.
Yeah,
5 is fair, right?
5 is. Do you want to keep watching?
Yeah, that the answer should be obvious.
Yeah, you
right
should
at
be
that
in.
point of. I just don't think why they think we would care about Galadriel.
They are, well, at this point they are, and not inaccurately, basing all of this on the pre-commitment of an audience to basically come along for the full ride. And so they're not trying to earn it.
Yeah. So they're being lazy on purpose.
Well,
it's not lazy.
I said, they're not necessarily wrong. Sorry, I've got a bunch of text I'm going to ignore. This is one of the difficulties when you're dealing with source material and you say, okay, I've got an audience that's deeply committed already, and what do they want? What does the audience want from me? And so I've talked before about the who are you and who are they and where ought they to be. When you are a studio and you're bringing out something beloved, like what is the audience? In this case, just Tolkien. So the appendices are not beloved. They're not even really well known or well read. It's the concept of Middle Earth and Tolkien that's beloved. And so you have, I'm Amazon. I have Tolkien. I paid huge sums of money for it. And I'm going to bring out for this audience something. What will they want? What will they want? What will they need? And so there's a kind of flippance, a little bit of flippancy that would come from treating it like a normal show. If you just try to quickly establish Galadriel's character and make her likable and,
okay,
and just get into it,
yeah,
it would be a little bit trite. It's like, hey, we're already in. Why are we here? We're here for Tolkien, the character Tolkien. Yeah. We're here for the creator Tolkien. So I definitely think this is the wrong angle. And I think that it comes across exactly like the trailers did, which is like very Hallmark. So especially at the beginning, very gauzy.
Yeah.
So incredibly gauzy, so incredibly blonde. And for all of the worry, the overly wokeness, everybody was like tussling around the wokeness. That strikes me right now as like, man, that's some intelligent marketing on the part of Amazon, because this is incredibly white.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're saying. They're saying every bad review is a racist who doesn't like the black elf that we haven't even met yet.
Yeah, but what I mean is I think that Amazon's setting up accusations against themselves for having been too diverse.
I have never read any.
Extremely intelligent.
Yeah,
because this is really, really white. I mean, that was like hyper Aryan, gauzy, golden magic light, all blonde, blue-eyed. Like everything was, just uninterestingly that way.
Wouldn't you say that's kind of, it doesn't, Tolkien's universe is northern, right?
Okay, think about Arwen.
Yeah.
How is Arwen complected?
Yeah, dark.
Yeah. So this is, Tolkien's elves are not all blonde and blue-eyed.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really odd. It's all golden and white, and everyone's wearing a white tunic, and everything's backlit with magic light. And we're seeing how literally gauzy their clothing is. Like when I say it's gauzy, it's actually gauzy. They're all translucent in front of the magic light.
Yeah.
And their skin is translucent and their eyes are pale blue and everything's blonde
and everything's whispered.
I would have made that way more earthy, much faster.
Yeah.
A lot more quickly. So, and the origami nonsense at the outset is a really ridiculous little trope to try to establish a theme.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
And I mean, just because you can say, hey, look, there's a paper boat and then we move to elf boats, that doesn't make a theme work well. I think people will say, oh, look, artistry.
But did we move to elf boats in any kind of connective way?
No.
No.
It just
like,
was
okay.
on there.
Opening scene, little girl making, and we say there's not even been a sunrise yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're like, oh, they actually have been here for a long time because the tree glows. This is where their light comes from. And they have been making paper. And there's an older brother who has taught her origami. And she knows how to throw this thing in the water and it expands into a dragon boat.
Yeah.
And other elf children hit it with rocks. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. This is supposed to symbolize what?
Yeah.
I think all that matters at the beginning is that we just are supposed to know that it's symbolizing something. And look
the
how
truth was hidden.
Look how symbolic we are.
Yeah.
And look how deep we are, and look how thinky we are, and meaningful. This is meaningful. And yeah. I've commented before that like the impression of things often matters more than the reality, but it doesn't. That's unfortunate. And I've heard directors say, when somebody says, hey, this line doesn't make sense, I've heard them say it doesn't need to. Like, this doesn't need to make sense. It just needs to feel like it does. It just needs to feel to the audience as if it is meaningful. And it needs to feel aggressive, even if it's odd or badly constructed or incorrect. And that feelings-based creativity can really lead you astray rapidly. And it turns into somebody like overly rubbing a nerve ending. You know, they're just like scratching one spot and it's just going to kind of get bloody and you want to go away. And could I please just go not be here?
I mean, the soundtrack too is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We hit intense strings, like
same tone,
same tone,
same tone, same tone, same tone, same tone.
Yeah.
Same tone over and over and over and over and over and over. It's like, it's, just going for it.
And then that scene of a dragon attacking a griffin or whatever was going on, immediately when we moved into fake fantasy realm.
It's like, oh, we're in Middle Earth now where everything's fiery and bloody and there's no explanation because somebody attacked our tree glowing elsewhere. And so we attacked Middle Earth. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Good to know. And then Austria-Hungary.
Yeah. It's like straight out of a history textbook.
Yeah. Anyway, I got through 5 minutes. I'm feeling good about getting through 5 minutes. I feel like I was not prejudicial about that. But I don't think we got to the opening credits.
No, we didn't make it to the opening credits.
But how could I have? I got to the map. I made it to the first big map sequence where the Indiana Jones airplane crossed from Elfland over to Middle Earth. I made it that far.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm thinking in terms, you watch when Star Wars knows the audience wants to meet certain characters. And so they know that character comes on the screen, there's a big cheer from the audience. Yay! Yeah. I assume that's regularly littered through this wherever they can. Like, oh, I remember that.
It's Gimli's grandfather.
Yeah.
Oh, nobody cares. Nobody knows Gimli's.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that they can do that, but I will say that the commitment of Tolkien fans, I would love to see the drop-off rate. I would love to see their conversion from episode 1 to whatever the last episode is. I would love to see that data, and I know that they will never show any of it. The fact that they are that they suppressed reviews, that they also said because of racism.
Yeah.
And it's like, really? That's why?
I know. I should check because I haven't seen any racist reviews.
That's a pretty nice get out of jail free card for turning off all the reviews that aren't racist and are just talking about how this looks like a Mormon pipe dream at the beginning. They're actually going to push in the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, they've turned it back on now, and it's sitting at 3.5 stars. So
yeah, but they're also, I mean, do we really think that they're not filtering those things?
They definitely are. They're definitely hiding those.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, it's all sad. It's all just a sad world right now.
I guess I'm just having a failure of imagination with how you could tell Galadriel's backstory. Maybe I think Amazon just let me down. I don't know how you could make a miniseries out of Galadriel and have me like it. So maybe I am too prejudiced.
Did you ever like Galadriel?
That's not her purpose.
It's a question, Brian. You can answer it.
Oh, you mean
the character in the novels?
The novels. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you should be able to tell her backstory.
I guess maybe it's just that complete lack of trust then.
Yeah, there you go. I am fully defensive of this project in principle. There's nothing wrong with this in principle. I am not somebody who's going to object to just, you may never make a, apocryphal story around Tolkien's world.
Isn't it more like telling a story about an elf is kind of like telling a story about an angel?
No.
You don't think so?
Because it's not.
Okay, what about Galadriel?
Can they die, Brian?
Yes, they can die. I guess Galadriel does have a weakness. She is tempted to go after the power.
She ends up stuck in a wood. I mean, she ends up like with a little golden wood, wearing her ring, waiting for a hobbit. It's...
So that could be interesting.
We can get her there. We can get her there with interesting drama.
Do you think that
the difficult middle school years leading?
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so I just complain about the bats. Telling it.
If you don't like the destination, then it's hard to tell a backstory. So if you don't like where she is in the novels, now I agree, whatever, to the films and where she is in the films. But if you don't like where she is in the novels, then like backing into that would be really difficult. I don't really know why they picked her, other than the fact that there are some appendices, and so
they had to get someone. They had to get someone who was in the previous movies.
But I honestly would have just made stuff up. I would have done
just your own story.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so when you're in the Paths of the Dead and you find, the guy sitting there, the skeleton, and there's all the scratches at the stone door, and Aragorn just kind of walks past him. It's like there's a ton of characters. There's a ton of side characters who had all sorts of, adventurous existences. There's a lot of tales to be told along the way that you could unpack. You don't have to do this one, but there's no reason to say that you can't tell backstories. Like, no, of course you can tell backstories.
They can't tell backstories.
No, they can't tell front stories either, Brian. So the issue is one of trust. The issue is just, do you trust them to do it? And the answer is, well, I mean,
obviously.
What have they done well? Like, what show have you seen on Prime that you're like, man,
they executed that?
They nailed that.
Yeah, no, I mean, even easy stuff like Jack Ryan or whatever couldn't even get a whole season without just falling off a cliff there.
Yeah, Jack Ryan is. Oh.
I don't think I hated it that bad.
It's a microwaved week old donut.
Yeah.
Jack Ryan is terrible, and you had a great lead, and you just went off the rails sideways. You have great underlying IP, and it is a piece of trash.
Yeah, the 4 episodes in, you're like, I don't know where we are anymore. We've lost our way.
Admiral Greer is where it jumps the shark completely.
Oh, with the Muslim guy.
That's it. Yeah, that's one piece of it. But yeah, no, it's complete trash.
There we go. We've heard
they did Without Remorse too, didn't they? With Michael B. Jordan.
Oh yeah, I didn't watch that.
Also, total trash. One of Tom Clancy's best novels. One of the gnarliest ones in terms of some of the material. So it's definitely a hard R in terms of some of the stuff you're reading. It's like, but it's so there's scenes that you're kind of skipping. It's one of the only Clancy novels where there's sex scenes and stuff, but it's actually like, man, talk about backstory. It's the backstory of one of his recurring characters that shows up, one of the recurring side characters that shows up in later novels. Without Remorse is this backstory there, and it's really compelling. And the film is just garbage.
Yeah, well,
and then you have Terminal List, where it's like, okay, so what did we just do? Like, weirdly, we just made a partisan show where because liberals hate it, conservatives must love it.
Wait, congratulations, you played yourself.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, so you have a success. Yay, Amazon success.
Yeah.
Oops. You accidentally made a show Glenn Beck loves. And
yeah, I mean, Mormons.
Way to go. Way to go. And but it's a hit.
Yeah.
It's a hit with viewers. And so there's that. And then you look at Goliath with Billy Bob Thornton, like, okay.
I didn't see that. Clearly we're not using Prime for videos.
Right. But I'm rattling off like things that they like really promoted.
Gotcha.
You just kind of
the Tomorrow War.
Oh gosh.
that was Andy whatever from Parks and Rec in a futuristic movie. So
yeah, we're still Chris Pratt contract, but that's actually a studio film that would have involved massive reshoots and extra visual effects work. And you have the studio say, do we want to go spend another 8 figures making this movie okay? Or do we want to pawn it off on Amazon? And they say, let's pawn it off on Amazon. And so they just
Amazon, pick me.
Yeah. So they pawn it off on Amazon. That's it. It's an unfinished film. Tomorrow War is an unfinished film.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. It's like all the crawling.
You just
monsters.
go and what I mean by that is like you go look at it, you go watch it, and you're like, I know how this happened. Like it wasn't supposed to have been unfinished at this point, but they got to a place where if they were going to finish it, they like make it good and make it ready for theaters, which was the plan. I think it was Paramount. Then they just flexed their Amazon deal and cashed out their chips. And so you bounce around, you look at, okay, so Bosch.
Yeah.
Like, okay, hard-bitten detective, great lead actor, some horrendous dialogue, some of the most like expositionally heavy
I've read a few Bosch and watched a lot of Bosch.
Great opening credits.
Yes.
Love the opening credits. Love the guy's house in the hills. That's neat.
Yeah.
Love Titus Welliver and his performance.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I mean,
yeah. His it's
a procedural.
His wife dies. So
it's a procedural. And it's like, okay. And so it's not like it's, towering, but I happen to enjoy it.
Right.
I think Dan Pine did a good job actually as the showrunner, putting the thing together and like taking it like, okay.
Yeah.
So Bosch is
decent
TV. Bosch is solid TV.
Procedural. Yeah.
Yeah. But you bounce around and you try to figure it out. You try to look, and it's not like
it's a bleak world out there.
It's not like they did anything in studio that you could say, do you know what I would trust them with? I would trust them with something
Tolkien
that runs.
IP.
I would trust them with not like, I would trust them with massive, massive budgets, enormous worlds, characters, and stakes. They're the right studio for that, for sure.
Actually, that's it. It's the genuineness that will be required for us to care about a griffin fighting a dragon. That's a huge. I mean, it's hard to see me getting motivated to do that on my laptop. Just being like, I care. It's much easier to be like, the stakes situation really seems to matter a lot. You're trying to tell an Adam and Eve story, about the fall of the world into darkness and how Galadriel stood alone. And I don't know that even you could get me to care in a show, in a TV show.
It could happen, Brian. It could happen. I love your cynicism, but it could happen. Okay. It could be done.
I trust the director.
And I'm just saying it could be done. And especially if you said, hey, let's take some wildly talented people, give them creative restrictions, fixed points, limitations, and actually like clear goals, clear creative goals.
Oh yeah. Okay. Meaning like what?
Make Brian care.
Someone watching has to like the people.
if we put Brian in the executive chair,
I'm not even that hard to get to care.
I know. That's why this is so doable. We put Brian in the executive chair and get you some real talented writers and directors, and actually say the goal here, you got to get Brian to care. We got to really get Brian to care and be like, love the season architecture.
Yeah.
Love this character, love this journey. No, they would have that done in 3 weeks. They'd have a map for you and you would love it. And then they could go execute it.
Okay.
That part is not that hard.
Okay. But they didn't do that.
No.
Why didn't they do that?
Because that's not the goal. The goal is not to make Brian care. The goal is to like boost Prime's profile, boost Prime's presence, like be a King Kong in the marketplace, and get people to subscribe to Prime.
Okay, so they could have spent this money on it. Basically, spending the money was the goal. Then that's the roadmap. The fact that they spent this
I mean, honestly, I'm stabbing in the dark because I don't really know. I can't.
Well, you're like, hire massively talented people. They go grab screenwriters with 0 credits. Like,
right.
That's crazy to me.
Right.
Unless someone managed to have some information on someone and said, you will now hire this person to be the screenwriter.
Right. But this has happened before where you're like, man, this person just directed a huge film. I wonder what they've done before. And you look at it and you're like, what? It's like, where did this come from? Why did this person get this project? Sometimes it's obvious where it's like, oh,
they've succeeded here.
Ryan Coogler, and he jumped from, it's like Fruitvale Station, and he jumped like, boom, he's like leapt up, Creed, Black Panther, it's like boom, boom, boom. Like, okay, there's these stair steps. But there's a lot of times when you're just like, wait, excuse me? Like, what are you're managing $250 million of, creative vision. No wonder it sucks. You've never done anything over $250,000 before. It's like, it's,
yeah.
And the fact is that restriction and limitation is so good for creativity.
Yeah.
You have to have those restraints. You have to have limits and goals and really, really, put yourself in the labyrinth creatively where you have to find your way out. You have to figure out how you solve problems and get from here to there. You don't just have unlimited budgets. Talking to the friend who told me we should go to the premiere, even though he was flying to Venice, and talking to him about how best to mentor directors, like how to really train directors. He proposed to me. He was like, what we do is we bring in directors to a soundstage with their projects. We limit them down. We have our final cohort of people we think they have talent, and we want to see them like get to a place where they can be storytellers who are telling really potent stories that will affect the culture. We bring them in to a soundstage, and we give them an indulgent budget and an extremely talented DP and a highly veteran crew to shoot one scene from their project. And we give them a day, and that's a cool idea. It's super indulgent. And then the next day, we take a bunch of it away and we make them shoot the same scene. They don't have the DP. You lose some of the gear. Like, you don't have the crane. You just take it away. The next day, you do the same thing. You strip away more. And just like start with this real indulgent, like, this is just, everybody will do this for you, and you get to be the auteur at the top. And then by the end, you have them like really, really stripped down, highly restricted, trying to solve problems, how you communicate things. And then he said on the last day, we dropped them off naked in the woods with an iPhone. But
film the scene.
Yeah, by yourself out there. But the point is, actually, if you did do that, the best version of that scene would not be the indulgent one.
That's true.
It would not be the one where they had everything.
That is very true.
It would always be the one that put pressure on them and forced them to get creative. It forced them to adapt and overcome. And if they are a genuine creator, if they're made for this, if they're made for creativity, that pressure and that resistance would actually provoke a creative response, and they would find solutions. And so you would discover things. They would discover things in their story and in character work somewhere in the middle. Like somewhere in the middle where the restrictions started piling on, they would find things about their scene and their vision that they actually preferred. Where at first everybody thinks they just want daddy's black card and they can swipe it and do whatever. Wouldn't it be amazing just to have unlimited budgets? And I was like, well, if you want to suck always, it's like, because you'd have like this, you have nobody to say, we actually can't do that. Like,
do you want to spend your CG budget on the Griffin Dragon scene at minute 4?
The glowing tree, the Griffin Dragon scene. There's
the boat unfolding, because they had to fake that.
Yeah. There's somewhere people were like, ka-ching, we got hired to do the origami boat. Visual effects. Yes.
Yep.
We're working on, on the Lord of the Rings
it's so
things.
true. We all know that a book doesn't get better because you wrote 200,000 words of it.
You just kept going.
You just really did it.
This novel got better because I just wouldn't stop.
Right. Can you make me interested? And we do.
No, I have the problem of stopping.
Yeah. We do this all the time. You say, hey, can you convince me your book is a good idea in a paragraph or a line? Because if you can,
give me a sentence.
Then if you give that to me, that's how I know that you can tell the story.
Elevator pitch it.
Yeah. Because if you can't, I already know that you can't. That's interesting.
So
this pitch right here is, like you said,
it's a massive piece of IP. Let's spend
spectacle.
Phenomenal cosmic powers.
That's what I've been thinking.
But what you need is that itty bitty living space.
Yeah.
You need to actually.
I was gonna say genies get 3 wishes because unlimited genie wishes is stupid.
Yeah, and no wishing for no more wishes.
Yeah.
It's you have to have restriction, and so. In this particular situation, it would have been much better to have the restriction of make Brian like it, or make somebody who's a true Tolkien fan, love it, make somebody care, or even better, make somebody who doesn't like Tolkien.
Yeah,
if you could take somebody who never even watched the movies, doesn't know like Peter Jackson movies at all.
Yeah,
can you make a random 17-year-old in Detroit? Like, love this show.
Yeah, he saw a picture of Legolas once and was like, no.
No, thank you.
Orlando Bloom, who's that?
Yeah, but it's if you can do that, if you can make them care and them come along for the ride and them get sucked in. And Game of Thrones did that. So as much as, we can be like, Game of Thrones, that's, Raunch Fest or whatever. They did achieve that. They did do that.
I don't know the names because I haven't watched it. I think I read one before I knew what it was because my cousin was like, "This is great.
This is amazing."
Yeah, and
there's so much naughtiness.
He did not say that. I think that's why. That the Stark character who dies,
Ned.
That's a great character.
Yeah,
that's a fun one, and especially when he dies, there's a moment of real like, "Whoa, here we go. How can this be made better?" Turns out George didn't want to make it better. He just wanted more of that.
Yeah. Yes. I want to make you care, then put knives in you. I want to put knives in your carrying.
It's like Bugs Bunny getting stabbed with the multiple barrels all the ways and all the scenes when you stick Bugs Bunny. That's how I felt when I was reading that book.
It's my editor actually, I didn't know anything about Game of Thrones. It was not a thing yet. And my editor at the time told me, hey, I need you to read these. And the first couple of them, and I whipped through them, and it was just like, holy crow, these are terrible. But they had a shtick going. There was like this massive world building to them. Yep. So like the escapism was off the charts, and then the shock and awe. It was like, like I will kill Aragorn in book
chapter 3. Yeah.
I will do what I love doing. Massive amounts of foreshadowing. I mean, massive amounts of foreshadowing just to burn it to the ground. And it
that
worked.
Sense of peril, I think, was there. You know, in a way.
But the books were like, okay, the books did okay. The books are huge now because the HBO show. But when they made the Lord of the Rings move, they were not doing that blind to the success of Game of Thrones. And so that when I think about the goals of Amazon, and I can joke about they want people to subscribe to Prime or whatever, if they had succeeded. So if they take Game of Thrones and you say, did most of the people who watched Game of Thrones and cared deeply about Game of Thrones, did most of them come to that show having read the books? The answer is absolutely not. Like what brought them was a deep commitment to the reality of a world, that to making it real. it was real. Now, the way they made it real was by making it vile. And in some ways, they marketed the vileness, but not always. It wasn't like the vileness was not like the only reality. There was a depth of commitment to the reality of the characters and the reality of the world, and the complexity of the world, the earthiness of the world. Yeah. And they were all just in. They were deep in and really, really committed to making it real. And 5 minutes into this,
that is the last
there's nothing real about that.
That is the last word you'd use.
Yeah, there's nothing real about that.
Yeah.
At all. And so, I know that I can say like, well, it's a big IP and they're grabbing Tolkien, they're going to pull it in and they just want more subscribers. They want whatever. But ultimately what they wanted, a big success, to answer the earlier question, I think more accurately, would be if they had duplicated and multiplied Game of Thrones success. If they had,
for a whole family, right?
If they had been able to, but if they had been able to grab everyone who loved Game of Thrones and misses it, if they'd been able to pull them over to Prime off of HBO,
that's a move.
To watch this for years, because Game of Thrones went 8 seasons, and everybody was mad that it stopped. I think it was 8 seasons. And there's, a petition to remake.
There's that new one that just came out.
Yeah, which I don't think is really.
It's not doing well. Yeah. The tail off is crazy.
What everybody wants is them to remake season 8, I think. But even then, not enough people. But if they had done that, if they had been able to capture that market and migrate them to Prime with a new show with dragons, that would have been massive victory. But in order to do that, there would have had to be a deep reality, a profound reality to every character and to the political ecosystem, a reality to the political ecosystem, a reality to the streets, a reality to the houses, a reality.
It just felt fake.
Everything about it was fake. Everything about it was golden and gauzy, and it would have needed to be very, very real for them to even begin. Now, they succeeded in the marketing. They had a 25 million user starter. So they had people spotted them. 25 million sets of eyeballs.
Yeah.
Now, if they had put the work in, that's enough. That's enough for them to have pulled that off. If they had really sold it and those 25 million had started out by saying, whoa, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
This is actually awesome. Then that would have grown from there. That's the starter dough that would have grown, and it could have actually accomplished that. But I think we are a far cry. We are a far cry from that. I don't know that we're going to see a $1 billion investment from Amazon anytime soon. People will look at their total Prime subscribers before and after this $1 billion investment or whatever it ends up being by the time they're done.
It's going to be about the same.
And they'll be like, well, we gained 7 in Cleveland. But anyway, this has been our podcast. I only had to watch 5 minutes. And yeah.
There we go. There's not a lot to say. I think you captured it. I bet they don't even do the bad guys real. We don't even have to bet on that. They don't do Vile. The Vile they can't even capture.
No, they already did a big roller coaster crawl shot across something that looked like a lava vein in space.
I think that was the burned up tree. They were going up its trunk.
Okay, lava vein in space.
Morgoth.
Otherwise known as lava vein in space. Yeah. You know what we could have talked about today? We could have talked about the Lewiston Roundup. I went to the rodeo, and that would have been, so many character and story thoughts, and instead you ruined it, Brian.
You are welcome.
Okay, yes. Okay, fine. We talked about Rings of Power. It's probably good that we did. I think I was sufficiently non-prejudicial. Brian turned out to be the real prejudicial one.
I know.
Thinking that the whole project was doomed. I think the project was not doomed. They just pooched it.
That's the summary. The end. Goodbye.
Now I'm going to secretly go in the closet and watch all of it and love it.
I already tried to get my wife to watch it, and she was like, why? I'll try again.
Yeah. No, I doubt I'll ever watch another second of this shit. Peace.
When my eyes were opened up and I saw
Hey, it's Brian Cole, and I recently got an email from one of our audio listeners who was saying, hey, I've already listened to both Anne of Green Gables books on Canon Plus, and I'm wondering where the rest of the series is. And I thought, you know what? I should tell people what's gotten onto Canon Plus recently, in case they too, like me, have not yet listened to Anne of Green Gables. All I know about Anne is that I think she has red hair, and I think she broke a writing slate over a boy's head. Those are the two things I know. Anyways, I wanted to encourage you to take a gander at our children's section, our classic section, and our writing section, because those are kind of three things that overlap with what the soul food crowd is into. Especially, we've been listening to the children's section with all its E. Nesbitt stuff, 5 Children and It, Secret of the Amulet, The Treasure Seekers. Funny stuff, great narrator, and fun to listen to. Of course, if you're looking for good narrators, you also do need to check out Cannonball's own Brave Ollie Possum. If you don't have the Glorch voice as a bedtime routine, I don't know what you're doing. And if you aren't tired of my voice, you can listen to My Father's Dragon, which for some reason I went ahead and read, I think because I'm fond of it. Now you too can listen to me struggle to separate all of the different creatures' voices and keep them straight. Yeah, that's not the best pitch for My Father's Dragon, but it is a good story, which is, I believe, becoming a Netflix series soon. Last thing you might want to check out is the classic series, the Old Mother West Wind series by Thornton Burgess, a bunch of modern-day Aesop fables with tragedy, success, and adventure, all about animals in a wood. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff on there. That's just kind of scratched the surface, but you SASF listeners can try it out for a month on Canon Plus for the low, low price of 99 cents with the code SASF99, SASF99. All right, that's enough of me. Bye.